Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today on Latakian's Nord Kitchen we're gonna make lasagna. That's right, all's well that ends well. But before I go to that happy ending, I experienced one of the great kitchen disasters in Latakian's Nord Kitchen, which I will happily show you later, and just that's probably a good reason to watch the video. But the real reason you should check this out is because this was without a doubt the best lasagna dish I've ever had. Period, end of sentence, full stop, for real. And to get started, the first thing we'll do is make homemade lasagna pasta, as I looked in many stores and I didn't find it. So if you can get it ready from the market, that's gonna be easier of course for you. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and in a big bowl, we'll need to put down 4 big cups of regular flour. Alright, you could use semolina or a combination of semolina and regular flour, but we were gonna go with all-purpose this time. And then we'll make a well in the middle with a spoon, and then we'll crack 7 whole eggs. Those are large eggs, so what you can do here is very carefully, you're gonna beat those eggs without destroying your nice well, in case you're doing this on a board, not a bowl. So if you break the walls of the well, here you're gonna have running eggs at the board, and then you got a mess. And that's why I like to use the bowl here. So you wanna slowly incorporate the flour. Okay, I forgot the salt here. So we'll add 1 teaspoon of salt too and continue mixing, and then gradually it's gonna go from just total liquid to something that resembles more of a cake batter. And now you'll have no problem with it running around. At that point, we can get rid of the spoon and we can use our hands. Alright, so do that once you think it's thick enough to work with. And we're gonna incorporate the rest of the flour, and we need to knead it until it gets smooth and elastic and starts to get together. So we're gonna knead that for 5-6 minutes, just like a bread, because what we want is something soft but not sticky. And you will see when we poke it, alright, it kind of bounces back a little bit. So that's just what you're looking for. Now all what we want to do is let this rest for minimum 20 minutes. So form it into a bowl, put it back on your cutting board and cover it with something. I'm gonna use a bowl here, and while waiting for that to happen, we're gonna prepare our fillings. So start by adding some olive oil in a pan or a skillet which has some vegetable oil in it, and to that we're gonna add diced onions, about 4 pieces, and we set that over high heat. And then what we do is add 1 teaspoon of salt in addition to a pinch of black pepper, as well as 2 grated carrots, and we'll cook that, stirring until onions soften up and turn translucent. At that point, we're gonna go ahead and add our beef meat, about 500 grams, and we'll season that meat too with some black pepper and any spices of your prefer. Now try to cook stirring this until our ground beef has been broken up into very nice small pieces, and once it's nicely crumbled and our onions have turned translucent, we're gonna toss in 3 tablespoons of tomato paste in addition to 3 cloves of garlic. Last but not least is our tomato sauce. I used 4 tomatoes where I processed them in a food processor before adding that. And what we do now is cook this for about 2 minutes or so before we add half a cup of water, and we go ahead and stir that in. And then what we do is turn our heat down to medium and just let this simmer for about 5 or 10 minutes until most of the liquid is simmered out. And that's it, okay? Now let's move to prepare our bechamel sauce. Alright, the first step is making our roux, which you know is a butter flour mixture. So melt your butter on medium heat and cook the butter until it melts. At that point, we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of flour, alright, 50 grams of butter and the same amount of flour. Now cook the roux until it smells like cooked by crust, and only in that way you know the raw taste of the flour has been cooked out. And when you smell the aroma of cooked by crust, you're done, okay? Then we're gonna dump in 4 cups of milk or 1 liter, and to that we'll add a pinch of salt in addition to black pepper. Then I'm gonna grate in 1 piece of chicken stock. Now cook that stirring for a couple minutes until the mixture gets warmed up and the milk dissolved, that roux, and we have a beautiful, perfectly smooth sauce. Now one thing to keep in mind is when a roux-based sauce comes to a simmer, that's about as thick as it's gonna get. So don't expect it to thicken more as it cooks. Alright, that's all what we want, a medium thick bechamel. This should not be so thick, so if you feel yours thick, feel free to add more milk. Alright, so that was just amazing. Now, as long as our dough is matured and the flour kind of fully absorbed the liquid, we can go ahead and cut this into 5 portions and start rolling. And to make that happen, we need to use cornstarch to roll it out, not flour, cornstarch. So start by starching the working surface and the dough and roll that out to about an inch thick. We don't want it to be so thick. Try not to make it thick, using just enough starch so we can work with it. And speaking of rolling pin, you don't need an expensive rolling pin from the culinary store. With a little amount of money, you can get a thick wooden dowel that will work just as well. So what I'm doing here is stacking these above each other once you finish rolling them out, so we can go ahead and cut that in the shape of lasagna pasta or lasagna noodles. And here it's up to you to cut them in squares or rectangle sheets of pasta. And here's the thing, as long as these sheets have enough starch between them, they will not stick to each other, so don't worry. And don't think that we're gonna throw that edges. We will use them later on in assembly too. Okay, now everything is ready and it's time for final assembly. Now let's talk about the bun. Get yourself a lasagna bun or any casserole like these. Now assembly is super easy if you can do some simple math. So all we need to do is 4 layers of lasagna pasta and between them the sauces. So the base have to be some bechamel and then the meat sauce and then the pasta and top with another portion of bechamel, then the meat sauce. Alright, once that's spread nice and even, we're gonna take the third portion of our noodles, place those over, and as long as it's covered, you're good. Don't worry about what it looks like. Don't worry if you got a couple broken ones, because it's all good when it bakes. So we'll continue until all of our noodles and sauces are finished. And to finish this beauty off, the last layers should be bechamel, and I'm gonna top that with some grated cheese. I'm gonna put it on a pan in case we have any spillover, and put that in a 200-degree Celsius oven for 1 hour until it's done. It will be golden brown, it will be bubbling, it will be hot all the way through. And I know you can't wait to tear into this, but let it sit for at least 10 minutes. And that's what I didn't do because I didn't have time. So now cut it into nice squares. You get like 12 decent portions out of these, or like 9 huge ones. Oh, and I should mention, all my chef instincts were telling me not to try to hold this for a long time like this. But I didn't listen to those instincts. I was going to put it on the serving dish and it fell. And I swore 5 times in 3 different languages, since I will admit to being a little bit angry. But no matter what happens, I don't give up. So I grabbed a spatula and cut out another pretty piece. You can see all these beautiful layers now. Okay, now let's grab a fork and start to rage it. And you know what? It was so incredibly delicious that I went from being angry to being extremely pleased. I mean, everything, the taste, the texture was extraordinary. But anyway, that's it. What I'm calling lasagna is done. Not only did I show you a very easy, very delicious dish, you got to see me drop one on the table too. So be careful if you try to serve yours. So whether you serve this for a holiday dinner or just any time, I really do hope you give this a try soon. Thanks for watching, and if you liked my video, please make sure to subscribe, like, follow and share so you can help me get more people to reach Latalkian's Noor Kitchen. See you later!